first order of business.
This one for you.
Thank you.
So Saturday and Sunday, Rick is gonna be tabling for, Daniel McCarthy at the Crossroads of the West Gun Show. If you guys wanna go for free, we have tickets that we're willing to give away for you guys. You need to text Rick. His number should be on the slide. It's at the bottom. If you want to go, come to me afterwards and I will give you Rick's number.
Or you
And
can
then,
talk to me.
yeah, talk to either of us and we'll give you Rick's number. You need to volunteer for at least an hour at McCarthy's table, and then afterwards you can roam free and do whatever you want. The tickets are usually like $20, so this is a steal in my opinion. Other than that, over the summer I've been working really hard to try to get a CRU / Border Patrol field trip kind of thing where they come to us or we go to them. It's kind of outrageous to think that we could go to the border because we're college kids. We don't really have time for that, to be honest. But I was able to work out a field trip in late November where we're gonna go to the port of entry at the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport and see how they run things there. But to do that, we all need to be vetted, anybody who wants to go. So I won't pass it out this week, but I do have papers here. You need to give your first and last name, your date of birth, last 4 numbers of your social security number, and then some kind of entry document number, like a passport number or a state driver's license. If you're not a US citizen, the process is a lot longer. So you said you're a citizen, right?
Oh, I would not attend.
Yeah, he's
You
a
want
citizen.
Okay, well, if you do want to attend, let me know, and I have a little sheet here that you can fill out because it's due next week if you want to go. But if you are a citizen, it's not due until November, so I won't even pass it out this week. Just letting you know, it's either going to be the 9th or the 16th, both Saturdays in November. And then, how was everyone's first week at ASU? I don't think we have any freshmen in here, do we? Any freshmen? No. We don't have much college students in here, actually. Well, I hope your first week was good. If you see any liberal bias on campus, you can report it to Campus Reform, and they'll make a story out of it. You can get like $50 to $100 per article. You can be anonymous, you can show your name, you can do fake name, whatever you want to do. Next week, we're gonna have somebody who used to be a part of Antifa come, and he actually, I don't know, found the light, and is now a conservative. We're partnering with Students for Self-Defense on this one, and he'll be coming next week to talk about his experience in Antifa, so be sure to come to that. That's about him. His name is Gabriel Vidalis. It's basically, yeah. Okay, now our speaker, Mark Spencer. Woohoo!
What's our timetable here?
You will have 30 to 45 minutes to talk and then questions.
Okay.
And then we're gonna let Mr. DeSanti talk.
Feel free if you want, you guys. You have a verdict. It's just a newsletter.
Here's
Is
this.
this remote gonna work for me?
Yeah, it should. It worked for me, so.
Now, which one advances the slide? That one?
Yeah, if you wanna go forward, it's the right one. If you
Okay,
wanna go
good.
back, it's the left.
Good. Hey, my name is Mark Spencer. I feel I'm a little bit superior to you because I'm a lumberjack. No, I'm just kidding. Just relax. My goodness. I don't know. I might be the oldest one in the room. I graduated in 1985 from Flagstaff. Am I the oldest? Or? No. Oh, okay. Thank goodness I didn't win that one. I'm certainly not the smartest. Shoot, I was just telling. I moved out here in 1975. How many of you, is this home? Where did some of you go to high school? I went to Chaparral.
I was in California for.
Anybody go to high school out here? Where'd you go to school?
Maryville.
Oh, that's too bad.
Deer Valley High School.
Did you really? Okay. See, I graduated in 81 from Chaparral. In fact, I just looked up my old football coach the other night. Tom Stinsick, he played for the Cowboys. He's still
Cowboys are good, man.
Still around. So, anyways, we moved out here in 75. I finished, got my finance, my undergraduate degree in 85 from NAU. And I could not, that was when the guy by the name of, what was his name? Oh yeah, Jimmy Carter. That's when Jimmy Carter used to be the president and you couldn't buy a job. And my degree was in finance, I couldn't buy a job. So I heard this company called the Phoenix Police Department, they were hiring. So I joined up. mean, where else do you get paid? Shoot guns, drive a car fast, beat people up, and you get paid cash for that. That's not bad. Pretty good deal. So I started that in 1986. I did 25 years with the Phoenix Police Department. My last 4, I was the president of the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association, known as PLATE. It's a police union. It's the largest police union in the state. And when you hear that word police union, conservatives, Republicans get a little uppity. They don't like that word union. And I understand 95% of the time it's bad news. 95% of the time it's bad news. 95, not 100. 95%. 5% of the time, your union members could be described as small government, low tax, rule of law, pro-gun. What I just described to you was a police officer. And so the wise man is able to make distinctions, even a 5% distinction. And that makes all the difference because you have men and women who choose to run the gunfights and put themselves at risk that are highly conservative. I hear everybody talking, I don't know, was that Crowder on that screen there?
Yeah.
Crowder was talking about guns. Cops love when good guys have guns. A good guy has never shot a cop with a gun. Never. Never. Bad guys do all the time. But good guys never do. Police work is very interesting. We seem to be in a very anti-police environment these days. In fact, I think the governor of California is supporting a bill in California where California citizens no longer have to render aid to police when they request assistance. Because that was a different time back then. And so when the police are your enemies, who's that make your friend? It means the bad guys are your friend. Police work is very unique because in any encounter in police work, we never start the fight. It's me and him, 50-50. He starts it, I finish it. It's 50-50, but the result of the fight, I'm 100% responsible for. He starts it, we're 50-50, I'm 100% responsible. And whereas the officer has maybe split seconds to make a decision, police managers have months and months in the air-conditioned office, nice, comfortable chairs to make these decisions. And that's what you're seeing here, especially in New York. What you're seeing here, and this was you hear about this thin blue line, that doesn't exist. They like to go catch bad guys and help good people out. But there was always a saying, you never get in trouble in police work for doing nothing. You never get in trouble for doing nothing. So I'm gonna let him rob you first, and then I'll come and take the report. If you don't want me to engage and interfere and be proactive, because if I'm proactive, I might have to engage in him and he might get hurt. So I'll tell you what, I'll just let him hurt you, and then I'll come in and pick up the bodies if that's what you want. Careful, what Mom used to say, careful what you ask for, you just might get it. And so it can be very frustrating police work. In fact, I used to wake up, I used to work 4 10s, and like 2 out of every 4 days, I used to wake up, had my feet over the bed, and before my feet hit the ground, I used to ask myself this. I said, I should have been a firefighter. I should have been a firefighter. And there are reasons for that, don't get me wrong. Should have been a firefighter. You see, they run into burning buildings and they carry people off to safety. I should have been a firefighter. Not us. What we do is we kick in doors and drag people to jail. I should have been a firefighter. I should have been a firefighter. It's more fun to spray water than it is to spray blood. I should have been a firefighter. I should have been a firefighter. You see, their dogs have spots. The nicest dogs in the world. You know what our dogs have? Teeth. Should have been a firefighter. It's easier job. Easier job. They hang out with attractive women. Who do we hang out with? We hang out with men in dresses. That was me 30 plus years ago. That's Philip Curtis, AKA Tracy. That was my date for the night. Should have been a firefighter. We work from a car. A firefighter though, no, they work from a recliner. Should have been a firefighter. They get 6-packs. You know what police officers get? We get kegs. should have been a firefighter. You know what? People wave to them with all of their fingers. People only wave to police with one of their fingers, and it's not that finger. I should have been a firefighter. So having said that, though, I show you this car because firefighters are truly unique and greatly appreciated. This was a scene down in Tucson where a Tucson officer got shot, and fire, they don't have vests, they don't have guns, so they kind of roll into hot scenes quite exposed. They went in and got our guys and got them out. That takes a unique bit of courage. By the way, I just sent my boy back to China. He teaches English here in Baoding, so I feel like I got my boy back here a little bit. So let me tell you a little bit about Judicial Watch. What Judicial Watch is a nonprofit, nonpartisan government watchdog group. We really focus on 3 issues. 1 is this thing called accountability. 2 is transparency. 3 is the rule of law. Accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. Those seem to be mythical creatures in today's society. It's like a Pegasus and a unicorn, and, you know, accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. And the way we pursue these conservative principles is through this thing called a FOIA application, Freedom of Information Act. You've probably heard that all over the place. You see Fenton on TV, you should see him on Fox News all the time, Tom. What he's doing is telling you what the attorneys are doing back in the swamp. What I do out here is I'm the Southwest Projects Coordinator. I'm like in Fort Apache out here. They're all back in DC. Out of Judicial Watch, we probably have 50 people on staff. Only 50. Out of those 50, there are only 10 attorneys. My job out here is to pick fights. And I'll give you some examples in a bit. But what Judicial Watch's forte is FOIA. We go after information. When you see, you'll see on the news frequently, Judicial Watch sues, Judicial Watch sues, we sue and sue, and we're suing everybody. Well, what we're suing over is we ask for records from a government entity, they stall. We sue, that's the lawsuit. That's what that's about. It's interesting because in regards to police work, I retired in 2012, January 2012. By February 2012, I was with Judicial Watch because I got to know these guys on our, what we remember Senate Bill 1070 back in the day? Okay, was the police union, rank and file, were supportive of Senate Bill 1070. Police management, they were opposed to it. They wanted open borders. But the rank and file guys were very much opposed to illegal immigration. You get to have a tendency to be that way when 6 of your officers are murdered by illegal aliens. You take it a little bit personally. In 06, 07, out of every 10 homicide victims in the city of Phoenix, 6 were Hispanic. Hispanics do not make up 60% of the population. But 6 out of 10 people killed in 06, 07 were Hispanics. Out of those 6, 3 were directly connected to illegal immigration. In police work, we call that a clue. Illegal immigration is dangerous for cops, it's dangerous for our Hispanic community partners. Police management and the politicians didn't care. They're after one of 2 things, power or profit. Power or profit. So they'll take advantage of a people group. We used to do that with slavery back in the South. Remember that? That was called slavery. Today, illegal immigration is just slavery light. Because this is a union guy in me, an illegal gets hurt on the job, he gets no workman's comp, gets no industrial coverage, they throw him away like an empty plastic Bic lighter and they bring someone else up. Next, they're just widgets to be tossed and disposed of next because it keeps cost low. See, conservatives love the profit and liberals love the power. They want the votes. That doesn't go well with the rule of law. It just doesn't. So we got involved in this quite heavily in police work, so I came on Judicial Watch, and I tell this because a FOIA application is somewhat like a search warrant. I will ask, I'll either do a FOIA or what's called a public records request, depending upon the state. Colorado, it's a Colorado Open Records Act. I just did one in Austin, Texas last week. There are times when I would write a search warrant and I would be very specific in what I wanted. There were other times when I would be very broad. I'll give you a case in point. When I would write a search warrant for dope, I would make sure, I'm looking for a usable amount of narcotics, I'm looking for guns. I'll give you another example. If I'm looking for a big screen TV, it's stolen, and I write a search warrant to look for that, I'll make sure on that search warrant that I'm not only saying I want to look for big screen TVs, I'll also put in that search warrant, I want to look for paperwork indicating residency. There's a reason I do that. It's like a game. It's like a game. You play it well. The reason you put paperwork indicating residency because I desperately want to get in your underwear drawer. I do, because who knows what drugs or guns I'll find in there. But big screen TVs aren't in underwear drawers. But what is? Paperwork indicating residency. What that does is gets me everywhere. So there are some times when I'll make a FOIL application where I'll be very broad. There are other times I'll be very specific. I want memo X dated on Y with number 1, 2, 3, bullet point A, B. And at this point in time, Joey's going, oh crap, he knows. He knows. You're darn right. Sometimes when we're there to rattle the cage and shake the tree and see what falls. Other times we get a lot of broad information stuff. That's how we got all the Benghazi stuff. It was very broad. That's how we found Clinton's email. It was very broad. So it's somewhat like a search warrant, these FOIA applications. Sometimes we ask for what I know doesn't exist. I ask for what I know doesn't exist. You were required before this act to give her this document. I know you didn't do it. Therefore, I'm going to ask for what I know you didn't give her. And you tell me, and I'll see you in court, why you didn't give it to her. Why you didn't give her. Kind of like those FISA warrants. Go through all these hoops. Those FISA warrants came out maybe a year ago. The cop in me read those right away. He had those 4 FISA warrants. I read them within 5 minutes. I said, these are, here's a technical police term, crap. Those FISA warrants were crap. When you're using media reports to develop a probable cause to go after someone in a FISA type of environment, that's bull. The gig was up back then, and we go through all this Mueller stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's a joke. And here's the bigger joke. This is our concern in Judicial Watch. I'll tell you right now. You hear this, and I'm not mad at anyone, but you hear the media say, oh, it's going to come crashing down now that we get caught short. Now we're going to find this all out and all these things. So what? Without an indictment or conviction, you're just putting lipstick on a pig. How many of you want to bet there won't be any indictments or convictions behind all this? I bet you dinner. Because these AGs, I don't care whether it's Barr, whether it's Sessions, whether it's Lynch, I don't care who it is. We have a string of AGs that are in this swamp mentality that play it like a game, and until the upper echelon gets held accountable, get ready, because you and I will be second-class citizens, and there will be a two-tier justice system. I'll believe the indictments and the convictions when I see them. I'll believe it. Here's your first clue, it's not going to happen. Why didn't they indict Comey 2 weeks ago? They had it. And I'll show you what they had, just so you know. Hold on to that thought. So I'll ask for what I know doesn't exist. I'll ask for what I already have. Hey, Mark, here, take this, and they'll give it to me, and I'll look at it. Well, I got to clean that up, so I'll ask for this document and go get it. And that's what will happen. I'll ask for what I already have. One request can lead to another, and that's how we got into Hillary's emails. One request leads to another request, leads to another request. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're in the process of going to court to get Hillary face-to-face in a deposition about her emails in her server. This is what we litigate on. We'll litigate whether it's timely. How long is Clinton email? When did that start? 2.5, 3 years ago?
I think about 3.
We're finally getting a deposition. Is that timely to you? That's problematic. It's a timely issue, or there are exemptions. they'll say, oh, that's an attorney-client privilege. Well, your attorney drove the getaway car in the bank robbery. You see what I'm saying? We'll go to court and fight over things like that. For your results, remember, all politics is local, so is corruption. Results will do things. One, first we can pursue a successful lawsuit. We've defended whistleblowers, not only nationally, but here within Phoenix, all over the place. Two, the enforcement of the law, the National Voter Registration Act. True the Vote in California, we partnered with them. We were able to help them. They led the charge, but we were just there to help. And they need to get credit for that. They did great work. We got their voter rolls cleaned up. That's obeying the law, following the rules. We'll give information for enforcement. I'll give you a classic example. Remember a couple years ago, it might have been 2 years ago now, the Paris attacks with the terrorists, and they went in and shot everything up. Remember that? Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, and one of those guns was a Fast and Furious gun from this state gun show. Mm-hmm. I've made a FOIA request over 2.5 years ago. I'm still waiting for it. They stall, they stall, they stall, they stall. They do not want it out. Okay, I'll get it. I'll get it sooner or later. Same with the Benghazi and the IRS paperwork, like Lois Lerner. Oh, by the way, was she indicted or convicted for anything, Lois Lerner? Wonder why. Information for voters. The most dangerous voter isn't an armed voter. That's nice. The most dangerous voter is an informed voter. And really that's what got Donald Trump into office. There was information out there. People knew what they were getting. They knew what needed to be done. They knew who could do it. You know, sometimes the best guy for the job is the guy that doesn't need it. Does he really need this job? That's probably the best guy for the job, isn't it? That is pure. That is pure. I don't need a priest. I don't need a prophet. I don't need a pal. I need a president that will do what he says he will do and enforce the law. And then we'll bring about a change of law. This is statewide. This was a pension issue here. Don't worry about that. We'll have a change of practice as far as in the city of Phoenix a couple of years ago, you saw Phoenix fire trucks, beautiful red fire trucks, and on these fire trucks they used to have a logo. That logo used to say, "Our family helping your family." And it was just made you feel good. Our family. And, you know, I used to cry every time I see it. Because those fire trucks are beautiful and the firefighters are just good looking. You get this motto, "Our family helping your family." And in the middle of that logo was another logo, had a couple letters on it. AFL-CIO. And then it had the Canadian Labour Council, CLC. Those are national labor groups. They have a tendency to lean which way? Left. But yet they get free advertisement on taxpayer-funded equipment. I had a problem with that. So when I was a police president, the union president, I used to negotiate $330 million contracts. And I do rights and wages and benefits, but I'd always ask for, hey, I want a plea logo on police cars. Firefighters get their logo, AFL-CIO. I want my union logo on my police car. They didn't say no, they said hell no. Because they knew we were hardcore to the right, our members were. So finally, I made a complaint telling Ed Zucker, the city manager, Ed, do one of three things. One, let the other unions put their logos on the trucks. Two, turn those fire trucks into NASCARs. I want Pepsi, I want Budweiser, I want Marlboro, I want jockey shorts, I want Chrysler, I want Dodge, I want all this firefighter and make money and charge them for it. Or thirdly, get the damn stickers off the truck. It should have never been on there in the first place. That was a backroom deal. The left leaning, and you know what? They stripped them all off. To this day, I wonder if fire will put the fire out at my house in the city of Phoenix because I did that. Here's another thing we did locally here. We had a Mesa veteran just down the street here, beat up, you'll see it right here.
Exclusive new details tonight in a case involving a security guard that was caught on camera. Can you believe this? Kicking a disabled veteran out of a Mesa Social Security office. You saw the video first on 12 News last summer.
The altercation happening after Richard Moriarty asked the office to take down a tattered American flag. Team 12's Bianca Bono joins us live here in Studio 12A. And Bianca, there are major developments tonight.
Yeah, guys, authorities originally charged Moriarty in the altercation, but since then, that's changed. A complete 180, actually. The security guard involved is now being charged with assault.
The cops are coming. They're coming. They're coming.
Video showing the moments a security guard aggressively kicked a disabled veteran out of a Mesa Social Security office. Richard Moriarty noticing a tattered flag flying outside the building, so he asked the security guard to take it down. This is what followed.
That is wrong.
The 63-year-old walking away from the incident charged with disorderly conduct and trespassing. Even though he thought that was wrong, he didn't regret speaking up.
The flag means so much to so many people. And we as Americans take it for granted.
Months after the incident, the charges against the veteran dropped. And per Moriarty's request, Mesa police detectives taking a second look at the case.
He wasn't a suspect, he was a victim.
After interviewing witnesses and closely reviewing this video, police realizing they got it wrong. The security guard, Alex Carvalho, now charged with assault and false reporting to law enforcement.
Mesa did the right thing.
Moriarty relieved by the latest turn of events, now hoping the city of Mesa pays back the more than $3,000 he spent in legal fees to fight his case in court. Mark Spencer of Judicial Watch committed to helping him.
They've done the right thing as far as re-investigating. They need to do one more right thing. Make him whole.
And 12 News has reached out to the Social Security
Make them whole. In other words, what happened there is we had found information in video and represented that to Mesa. They changed the charges. Mesa City prosecutor gets on board. Eventually, they even drop the charges against the security guard. That's fine. We're going to sue the Social Security Administration. Prior to that veteran going into that Social Security office, his back was fused. Afterwards, his back is no longer fused. We call that a broken back. He broke his back. The security firm is a federal employee. They have a contract with a local agency. The federal government, this is not the first time that's happened, where the security guards are just overreacting on this stuff. I'll show you a couple things. How's my time?
Did they give him the money back?
You're doing great.
Well, I'll tell you, he initially was charged, the veteran, for disorderly conduct and trespassing. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a lot like that veteran. I don't have a money tree in the back of my yard. He had to go hire a defense attorney on his own, put it on his credit card for $3,650, $3,650. So when they reversed the charges, one of the things I did, I submitted a claim to the city of Mesa. I mean, if a garbage truck accidentally hits your car, put in a claim and they'll fix the damage. It's what we call an accident. We made a mistake. We'll make you whole. Okay, they made a mistake in filing the charges. Just make the dude, what's $3,650 for the city of Mesa? Nothing. They refused to pay it. See you in court. I'll see you in court. Either play ball here and do the right thing, or we won't. You saw this, well, I'll show you one thing.
Who would make that decision?
City manager. The city manager. He controls the purse strings. Hey, I saw this. This wasn't on my calendar. It was on my calendar, but this came across me. This ASU closes China-funded institute after Defense Department, the Confucius Institute. They shut it down. Guess where they didn't shut it down? You know what the Confucius Institute is? Are you familiar with that? It's a Chinese cultural group. There are reasonable concerns that it's funded by the Communist Party. Of course, it's from China.
Very quick.
Huh?
It's very quick. They, in the name of cause, but there's so many Chinese communists, they spying or taking advantage of American college system.
I defer. It's actually what's going. So Trump gets involved in this and said, fine, you're going to let these guys on your campuses, we're going to withhold language training funding from the military, which is to the tune of $752 million a year. ASU said, show me, we'll take the money. However you say goodbye in Chinese, adios. But what school has kept them on their campus? It's that school down south. U of A. There's something in the water at U of A. I've gone head to head with them for the last 5 years. I made a public records request. This is one of those things where I know what I'm asking for, and I want it. I want to know how much they're getting. I want to know what the decision was for keeping them and what's going on. That's problematic, because they're the only major university that hasn't done that. This is what we're after. I'll give you another example. In Austin, I made a public records request, we'll just call it that, in Austin. Austin and Houston and throughout Texas at the public libraries, they have a drag queen story time for the kids in the public library.
Wait, say that again? They have a what?
Drag queen story time for the kids in the public library.
What does that mean exactly? Just confirming what I'm trying to picture here.
Men dressed up as women
Okay, yeah.
read stories to your children.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was picturing that correctly.
Now that might be okay with some of you until you discover that the drag queen is a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
And they're not even supposed to be within 500 feet of you, let alone, hey Johnny, let me show you a story here. It's ridiculous. And you know that's what's going on, don't you? No, that's why else would they be? Austin got a public records request from me. Well, we don't have to ask. I don't care whether you have to ask or not. That registered sex offender has to know 500 feet, you're done. At least three of them were done that. And as 25 years as a police officer, I've seen children molested. I've seen them dead at the bottom of the pool. I've seen them abused by parents. I got no room for that. I got no room for that. So that's what we did. That's what I did this week. I'll tell you the third thing that does any of you probably didn't. This isn't the top of your reading. Did any of you read the IG's report on Comey?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Don't worry, you got other things.
Am I stupid?
That's my job, I'll read that. 88 pages. You go through it, it's not a bad report, pretty good report. I don't know why the media takes two positions. Position one is this. Well, the AG's waiting for bigger, more serious charges. This IG report, they submitted the report to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General declined prosecution. Why are they doing that? Well, they're waiting for bigger charges, sexier charges, slam dunks. That's ridiculous. That's poor police work. That's like, have these guys been aware that this spat, I don't know what is going on, spat of wrong-way drivers on the freeway?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's like DPS saying, we could stop them going the wrong way, but we're going to wait till he kills somebody first for the bigger charge, and then we'll get involved.
I think it's a roundabout.
It's ridiculous. I don't know what it is, but good police work, you enforce the law right away. Why you can't? It's being proactive. Don't wait for more damage, more bodies. That's crazy. That's the first problem. The second problem is they're saying, well, the IG's report didn't say there was a crime committed. That's just not true. Why would you recommend criminal charges to the Attorney General if you didn't discover criminal charges? Do you know why the Attorney General didn't ask, do you know why the IG didn't ask the AG to investigate Comey for cattle rustling? Do you want to know why?
Because he didn't cattle rustle.
He wasn't involved in cattle rustling. But here they have a paragraph. It's like these
people don't even read this. The first paragraph is going to bore you to tears. Pay attention to the little second one. This is very technical. The Federal Criminal Code contains statutes addressing the mishandling or release of classified information. Do you understand what classified information is? When you classify things. I'm going to classify this as a copy. I'm going to classify this as a publication. I'm going to classify this as a sticker. This is classified. There's classified information. There's top secret. There's secret, okay? And there's confidential. There are laws restricting you from giving these out, okay? For example, 18 U.S.C. 793 D and F are felony statutes regarding the mishandling of classified information relating to the national defense. Why would the IG mention that? Maybe that's what he found. Title 18 U.S.C. 793D applies to individuals who have authorized access to such information and willfully communicate, deliver, or transmit it, or cause it to be communicated, delivered, or transmitted to individuals who are not entitled to receive it. Why would the IG mention that statute? Maybe he found it. In Section 793F1 addresses the removal, delivery, loss, theft, abstraction, or destruction of such information through gross negligence of the individual entrusted with it. Section 793F2 penalizes the failure to report the removal, loss, theft, abstraction, or destruction of the information related to the national defense if an individual is known that it has been removed from its proper place of custody. Why would he mention all these statutes to the AG? Because that's what he found. Here's how I know that. Next paragraph. As indicated above, the OIG provided a copy of its factual findings to the Department for a prosecutorial decision. After reviewing the matter, the Department declined prosecution. We found this, and this. What are you going to do? Not interested. Why? Why? They'd come after you in a heartbeat. They came after that Navy guy. Remember the Navy guy? Takes a picture in the sub from the panel. One picture. I hear people in the media saying, well, there were just 6 bits of classified information. The felony, the Navy guy went to prison for 1 picture. Comey gets away with 6? Well, he only sexually assaulted her 6 times. It's not like he did it 60 times. What are you talking about? There's an acceptable casualty rate here? That's the thought process we're dealing with in the swamp, just so you know. That's the thought process. Go, question. Ask any questions you want to.
I don't know about this specific case, but another case referred to Hillary, they were saying the stuff was classified after the fact of when it originally had the information. I don't think this was the case though, was it?
No!
Yeah, it was classified at that particular time.
It is what it is. And even with Hillary, this concept of she didn't intend to do it, that's the definition of reckless. You don't have to intend to do it. Well, I was shooting my gun off New Year's Eve. Man, I didn't mean to kill your grandson. Oh, but let him go. He didn't mean to put the bullet in his head. That's called reckless. Are you nuts? This is the swamp. And this is what Trump has to swim against. This is what, okay, do you know as taxpayers, we pay for medical, physical, and psychological therapies for illegal aliens who are transitioning in a transgendered process in detention?
Yeah.
We pay for it.
Why?
Why? Because that's the policy that Thomas Homan wrote. Who's Thomas Homan? Do you see him on Fox News all the time? The real law and order guy? Fox, Tom Homan, this is ridiculous, we're doing this. He wrote that policy under Obama because Obama was the boss and he did what the boss says. They just follow the boss's orders. They have the principles are out the window. Those are the people we deal with. Catch and release. Catch and release. what's the hurricane, Dorian? Okay, and you've heard the news of Dorian. Have you heard the DHS, the acting director's name come up? McAleenan? McAleenan dude that was famous. Oh yeah, he wrote the catch and release policy for Obama. And he's in charge of DHS. Remember, you go into the ports, he's the boss of the boss that wrote the policy, catch and release. This is all that Trump has to put in charge of these agencies. And we're left, when the music stops, we don't have a chair. Comey does, Clinton does, and all these bureaucratic embeds, they all have chairs. We'll be left without the chair when the music stops. And they talk about all this gun control stuff. It's another thing I'm working on this week. Did you guys, you heard what happened on August 27th, didn't you? August 27th in Juarez? You didn't hear what happened August 27th in Juarez? You didn't read about the 14-year-old girl?
No, I didn't personally.
The 13-year-old girl?
I don't think so.
The 4-year-old girl? When they got shot in the head, boom, boom, boom. In Mexico?
Oh, they got executed, yeah.
Why would that happen down there? Because guns are bad. No, people are bad. The family of those girls had no way to defend themselves. Did you hear that in the news at all? Nope. And you've seen this too, about Midland, Odessa, this mass shooting. But they didn't talk about Chicago. They had even more. So just, this is what we're involved in Judicial Watch. Ask any questions you want. I'll ask you anything about police work, Judicial Watch. Ask anything you want.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is kind of.
Go ahead.
But the Freedom of Information Act, is there any possibility of that going away? That they would ever stop that?
No, I don't think so. And the history of it is the Democrats were the ones that pushed that legislation. Johnson signed it into law. Before he signed it into law, he said, "You sure you want me to sign this?" Remember, we go back to this adage. Well, Mom used to say, "What you ask for, you might get it." That's what Johnson told him. Yeah, we want it, because we don't trust social Republicans. Boom! Got it. Got it.
They got it, but
That's
then now
what's
we
coming
just do it to them all over the
Go
place.
ahead.
All right. No, forget about the fact that they're drag. Like, just forget about that for a second. Just in general, why the hell, how the hell are pedophiles allowed to read to kids in a library only feet, if not inches away? Forgetting the fact that they're drag. This is just in general. I know they are, but focusing on just the pedophile
The
part.
LGBT community.
And I'm just like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Because there seems to be a priority. Politics and political correctness takes advantage over policies. That's why. We don't want to offend you, but the policy, you wouldn't want to check it out. They just don't. It is pure negligence for a subjective political agenda. And who pays for that in the end? Those kids and mom and dad. Go ahead, question.
Okay, my question is on Tucson, down in Tucson, they're doing the sanctuary city, they
Yep.
got it on the vote. We already know that the Constitution of Arizona, they can't do that. It's against our constitutions. We already made that improbable, but yet how did that become on the ballot? How do they continue doing that? And why isn't there lawsuits stopping that? Is it because they haven't passed it yet, it's not necessarily breaking the law? Or do we have to wait for it to actually pass and then say, hey, look, no, you're going against our Constitution and that's forbidden, so you can't do it anyway, so we're gonna just muff it?
I had a heated discussion with legal counsel 2 weeks ago about that. Because the Pima County Republicans pursued that legally by challenging the signatures on the ballot.
Right.
They got beat. It's fine. I'm like you. I don't care about the signature. You shouldn't have something that is blatantly in violation of the law on the ballot box. Well, in Tucson, we're going to take a vote. Here's what we're going to vote on in Tucson. You don't have to pay your federal taxes. What the hell are you talking about? You can't, it's against the law. So why are, and so that's, I'm knocking heads, and it's just friendly, don't get me wrong. You have to bang things out sometimes, legal counsel. Because of the way the statute is written, you have to have a victim first before you can sue. I hate it, I hate it.
So what I just said is actually, they gotta wait?
Gotta wait.
Really?
I'm right here with you.
That's the
Wait.
stupidest, that's just ignorant.
It is bad law, but that's the way it goes.
Now-
So now, we're just, we're fighting a similar, over in San Jose. They had a sanctuary policy too. They let the illegal go and he murdered someone. We're suing that county. But the way, Judicial Watch doesn't make the laws, we just operate within the legal system. The way the legal system, unfortunately, is set up is I gotta have a body first before I can do an investigation.
Right, you can't assume the crime is going to be committed, you have to wait until it is committed.
And I didn't even want, I wasn't even asking the attorneys to sue. I just was asking the attorneys, get an injunction to stop it. Put it in hold, put it in the bullpen, stop it, and then let the courts fight it out. We can't overcome that. It's on the ballot. I'm with you, I don't.
So, follow-up, can the lawsuit also include the gentleman or the council person who initiated this necessarily putting it on the ballot? Can you also include those people?
He probably has immunity as a public official. He probably has immunity as a public official. It'd be very difficult. Be very difficult to do that. I just want that off the books. And I don't want it off the books. Go ahead.
Does Judicial Watch have any involved in the Keith Stanley case? Now that all the charges have been dismissed against the guy who murdered her?
I don't know if I know we got into that a little bit, but they already have legal counsel. What we did look at getting involved in was, am I looking at time?
Yeah, you have like 10 minutes.
You got plenty of time.
Let's talk. What I was interested in getting involved in, bad law, it's just nothing more frustrating than bad law. Remember the shooting, the 16 high school people about a year and a half ago, Broward County? And Deputy Peterson didn't go inside, remember? Okay, so I think you had 14 students and 2 adults killed. The families sued Broward County Sheriff's Department. And they did bring in an official on this one, Sheriff Israel, who used to be a Republican and now he's a Democrat, because you'll do whatever you can do to get elected. Jeff Flake, did I say? I'm sorry. You'll do whatever you can do to get elected. Israel, I'm sorry. I get Israel Flake, I get it mixed up all the time. The family sued because the argument was you had a constitutional obligation to protect my kids and those people as a sheriff's department. We want to sue. The state fought it. We had a Republican governor at the time. I don't know why a Republican governor's fighting that, but okay, whatever. It goes to court, they lose, it gets appealed to the federal level. Here's the ruling at the federal level. Police departments, sheriff departments, federal agencies, they do not have a constitutional obligation to protect you. The only obligation, when I was a police officer, the only constitutional obligation I had to provide protection was for those people in my custody. So this is one time you're lucky I arrested you, because now I protect you. You're screwed. There you go. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I went down, speaking of Tucson, I remember, have you guys been at Tucson recently? Look at the Pancho Villa statue.
Not recently.
I went and danced with him about the Pancho Villa. You know Pancho Villa? He was the only armed foreign national to invade the country. He was a rapist, a robber, and a rustler. We have a statue to him. That's wonderful. When Bundy's going to come up? Why don't we put a statue up for Ted Bundy while we're at it?
We might as well. Charlie Manson. We'll do the Manson statue. Why not?
I mean, Seattle has Vladimir Lenin.
Why not? Why not? So I went in, they put that up back in '81 at the objection of numerous veterans agencies and whatnot. They put it up without a public hearing. All I did was, Judicial Watch isn't in the statue removing business. We just follow the rules. I went in and asked the city, can we please, it's been since '81, can we finally have a public hearing on whether we want this statue up or down? They shut me down. I was one person in a room full of 30 angry wildcats in there. One 17-year-old girl gets up, she goes, well, yeah, I know he was a rapist, but he had a good reason for that. I kid you not.
Please tell me you're lying.
I am not lying. I
Please
was
tell me.
right there.
The one time I want someone to lie to me, it's right now.
I'm just telling you. I gotta go down there and do that. We went after some. Remember the gal? You saw the Antifa guy coming?
Yeah.
You might know. Her name was Falarka. Is Falarka?
Oh.
Remember? What do you know? Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
Here's why it
she was
does.
with Bam.
Correct. She's a short gal. She's a teacher, public school teacher. She was the one that got in Tucker Carlson. Said if anybody comes and who was a conservative that wanted to come on campus? I don't know. She makes the comment, if anybody comes on campus, we'll beat them up. Well, Judicial Watch made a public records request. We wanted to know what her personnel file contained. She's a public employee. Well, she fought that. She sued us. She went to court and sued us. You can't have that. What do you mean we can't have that? Well, just to make you feel better, she lost in court. She owes $20,000 now for court fees. Just give it up. There's a little bit of justice every now and then. You're seeing all this stuff come in through our FBI FOIAs and whatnot. It's coming in. It's coming in. Ramona Kakta, she's our attorney. She's one of our attorneys in DC. She does all the depositions. She does all those one-on-ones. She does all that stuff. It's fascinating what you find out. But ask any other questions, Ken. Yeah.
Are you gonna be down Sunday in Tucson by chance?
Not if I can help it.
What's going on in
What's down
Tucson on Sunday?
Well, Antifa, I guess, is gonna be protesting a speech by, and I try to look it up, but I'm not getting a signal. He does national speeches on law enforcement. And so me, Steve Ronnebeck, and I think Dan McCarthy, but definitely me and Steve are going down. We're taking Bikers for Trump with us.
Okay.
And we're gonna be there to protest the protest.
No, I won't be there. I'm going to church, sir.
He's like, no,
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
not doing it.
Yes, sir.
So, I contribute to Judicial Watch
Yes.
every month.
Yes.
And Tom Fenton is heroic in my opinion. I can't believe all
Let me interrupt you for a minute. He's on with Hannity a couple of weeks ago. He's on, and you could tell Tom was getting a little irked about this Comey deal. And Hannity's making the comment, oh, it'll be okay. Bart knows what he's doing. I hope I'm wrong. The minute you say you hope you're wrong, that's like saying, kick me in the crotch. Are you nuts? Why would you say some, the reason you say that is because you know you're wrong. So I text Tom live. Tom, because he was pushing back, I said, Tom, you better be careful. You're acting like a good cop. And he texted me back, this is bull crap that they're not going after this stuff. But go ahead. Tom's out there.
Yeah, so Tom's, I mean, he takes on a lot of stuff, and he's very good about communicating on all media platforms,
Yep.
including email. So I'm a big fan of the organization. But I received something in the mail, I think within the last couple of weeks, which was the 8 things a voter can do to help with voter integrity.
Yep.
And my question to you is, we've seen, more and more fraudulent issues in California, and they had the integrity group for like 7 years, I guess, retain Judicial Watch and win $1.5 million coming off the rolls. What role are you playing here in the state to ensure voter integrity, considering the fact that we've had our borders with illegal immigrants coming through at a rate of between 100 to 150,000 a month until recently?
Now, what's taking place in Arizona, you have that election integrity project.
Arizona has, it's almost like an LLC. It's a nonprofit underneath their banner. It's quicker, it's cleaner, that's fine.
Yeah.
What will happen is if a situation arises where they need us to help, we're already in the pipeline. So we already did it with the mothership, so we'll do it with the scouting crew here. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No, yeah.
So if something arises and we can meet that need, I imagine we'll jump in. I think that'll be a very natural fit. Bob Popper, he's one of our other attorneys. He used to work for the DOJ in election fraud investigations.
Is that what Vera Anderson?
Vera Anderson is.
Vera, I know Vera.
Yeah.
It's Vera, yeah. So Vera,
Yeah.
no,
Let
we're
me
there.
talk to you afterwards then.
They were just talking about that at yesterday's meeting. Apparently they need 10,000 people to oversee the election as volunteers in order to ensure that there's integrity. And that's a heavy lift for the voter integrity from where we are today.
And I'm not here to offend anyone or pick a fight, but I will tell you this. Right after the McSally election, Chris Farrell, he's our director of investigations. Chris is a good guy. So you have three directors, Tom, Chris, and then Paul Orfanidis. He does all, they're the three directors.
Chris Farrell, and what was the other one?
Paul Orfanidis. Chris came out here and we met. We met with the county board chairman. I can't remember his name. It's a funny name. He's a good guy. And then we met with, who was the state GOP chairperson before Kelly Ward?
Lines.
Okay, just don't throw anything. Be still, calm down. We went in and met and said, hey, we see you have some problems with this. If you need our help, let us know. We'll jump on board. Guess what? Never got hold of us.
So your role is really as a support.
They ask, and we can, we will. Yes.
And then how does that work from a financial perspective? Like patrons or I donate monthly. Does that go to pay for that, or does that just keep me in the loop? Does this organization need to come up with money to pay you?
No, we're the nonprofit. So donors put fuel in the tank for Judicial Watch to run. That vet you saw here, we're representing him. We're able to do that because.
So if there is an election problem and we want you retained, then it wouldn't cost to retain you, is that correct? That is correct?
Correct.
Okay, very good.
My brief 7 years with this guy said, one, I've never seen that done. Two, personally, I think it would be inappropriate. That's why it's called a nonprofit. We ain't sending out bills. It's never been done that way. Yeah.
Well, you guys are the most effective organization, I think, in the country, honestly.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that, because there are a lot of good conservative nonprofit watchdog groups. There are. And they put out wonderful white papers and wonderful reports and wonderful this and that, but nobody goes into court, bogs down and sues, because it takes a long time. That's what makes the litigation expensive. It's because it takes forever to get this going. It takes forever, and there are court costs and whatnot. But no, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it absolutely did.
We are very familiar. It's not like we're asking around for the first time. We took her to prom and the homecoming. We know election integrity. We work very well.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm really trying to get my arms around is what's the best way to ensure election integrity. I met with the county board of supervisors and I've spoken with Vera and all of that. And what I'm hearing from you is, Judicial Watch is really a support network. What we should be focusing on is the election integrity organization here in Arizona, and we should be volunteering and helping them out, and what they've done in California for 7 or 8 years are trying to replicate here.
Correct, and like I said, this last election, the county recorder ran circles around the party.
Yeah, Adrian Fortes.
I'll tell you what, Shane, that cost, Shane, that had a cost. So, I guess you learn, but there's any other questions, ask away. You want them here, please.
He's talking about poll watchers, right? That's what he was talking about, poll watchers.
That's one of the aspects of it, certainly. And like I said, Vera Anderson,
I was a poll watcher for the one with August. It was the one with Kelly, with Max. I got there at 6 o'clock, which it started,
Uh-huh.
and at 6:30 a.m., the guy who was in charge came up to me and he said, "Let me know when you're leaving." And I said in my sweetest southern voice that at 9 o'clock tonight, he wanted me gone. But I did stay, he ended up loving me.
Any other questions? Ask away. Ask away. So that's who we are, that's what we do.
So you don't think the low-hanging fruit, the Comey, or any of these people, that there's something to them just waiting for the more serious charges? To me, they should be charged for everything, so.
I agree, and I just, Mom was one of the wisest women. Here's another statement from Mom. What Mom used to say? A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You better get it while the getting's good. So if you get the low fruit and you lose it, you still have other charges.
Well, look what they did at Flynn or even Roger Stone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you something else, what you'll see, and you'll hear this frequently. This is just a rank and file guy coming out at me, and I'm not saying this to be critical, I'm just saying this as an observation. You see this, well, it's just a few bad apples. Just a few bad apples at the top. Time out. Time out. Did you see the Stone raid? Remember, it was on camera? Did you saw the guys with machine guns walking in there, and the CNN man out there, and all these, all these guys with machine guns? Did you see Comey with a machine gun? Did you see McCabe, Stroke, Page? Did you see Brennan with a machine gun? Who was carrying the machine guns? The FBI agents, the rank and file guys. And you know what? This is where police labor becomes so important, because if I see something that I don't think is right, I'm going to say, boss, I ain't doing this. And they didn't do that. They went ahead and pointed machine guns, no offense, at an old man. What was that all about? Ruby Ridge? You familiar with Ruby Ridge? Waco? You familiar with Waco? Remember Julio, whatever his name was in Florida? Those aren't uppity-ups carrying those guns. There's the rank and file guys that aren't saying, I am not going to do this.
Well, Roger and his attorney both said that we're willing to turn ourselves in. Just give us a day and time, we'll turn ourselves in.
Why?
They wanted to make a show of it.
And why aren't the rank and file guys saying, no, we're not going to do that? It's problematic. So let's see. Let's see what happens with Comey and these guys. The thing about McCabe, you know about McCabe, he got fired. He got fired about a week before he was eligible for his pension. That's why he's suing. He wants his pension. That's why he's suing. The union guy, he doesn't blame him. He ain't going to win it because he was an at-will employee. That means, I don't like your shirt, you're fired. That even showing cause. I can just say, hey, you're fired. They went and showed cause for McCabe. For an at-will employee, they showed cause, a reason why they fired him. Good luck. I don't think they're going to do it. Anything else you want? I hope this was helpful to you. And stay the course. Don't give up. Just stay the course, because it's you and I are in this thing called the middle of America. We're making the difference. Okay. Trump's the real deal. I got to meet him when I was with Border Patrol down in Yuma. And I went up and I told him, I said, hey boss, I used to go boss. Boss, let me tell you something. I'm Mark Smith with Judicial Watch. We are not letting go of Clinton, just so you know. I hope you're not offended. We are not letting go. We're going after her. We've got this, and this going on. He goes, you tell Tom, keep going. The information's coming his way. So, and I've gotten to know Border Patrol very well. I'm the chaplain of the National Border Patrol Council. I'm a chaplain for over 15,000 Border Patrol agents. So those guys are they're more than comrades. They're good friends of mine, and they risk their lives. So if you need to...
Well, I have one more question about when you talk about the Border Patrol and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it local militias that are in the state, if they went down to the border to do, well, we'll call them maneuvers, what law is against them to basically turn around the illegals that they capture or come in contact that come across the border, not marching them right back across the border? The militias, not the Border Patrol, but the militias.
Now, when you say militia, are you meaning the National Guard?
No, I'm talking about these little
It's like what's like Chimpanzee.
patriotic group, patriots, stuff like that, patriots going and basically turn them around. Like the AZ Patriots have encountered, went down to the border and encountered many of illegals coming across. And the Border Patrol was right there behind them and stuff. But, and I know we there, as the Constitution has, and once they step in, we have to say welcome. But what makes it like a regular citizen or a little group like that saying, no, telling them, no, you guys turn around and go back to Mexico?
You have national, state, county, and city charters and ordinances on who is authorized, who has legal authorization to enforce laws. And groups like that lack the authorization. Now, there is such a thing called a citizen's arrest, okay, but you better be real careful. I wouldn't do that, and I'm not, some people would look at those groups as vigilantes. They would.
Or invaders or whatever else they categorize that.
There's a better component in place. Just use the National Guard. Have the governor talk to the president saying, we'll put our National Guard down there to support your people. Personally, I would put guns in my National Guard's hands. I go to the border more than once. You should really go to the border. That's the border if you get down there, man.
I know, we just, college kids, we're busy.
Go to the border, just take a day.
Okay.
So, but that's a Wild West down there. That is the Wild West. Mexico is out of control. They had over 3,000 homicides in Mexico recently. That's what gun control will get you. Did them a lot of good, didn't it? So anyway, stay the course. I don't think we're ever at fault if we pursue the rule of law and we maintain and pursue protecting the value of people. People are of immense value. And what we see in the swamp and from the left and even from the elites, you know what I mean by the elites? I hate this thing called acceptable casualty rates. I hate it. And I don't think we should leave any person behind. But they'll throw people under the bus, chits, and that is so bad. And so that really makes our mission quite clear on what we're doing. Accountability, transparency, rule of law.
Can you tell us about you're an ordained minister, is that correct?
My graduate degree is in exegetical theology. My undergrad was in finance. Then I got my master's degree in theology. So to say I'm ordained, I wouldn't say that. I am licensed. I mean, I married a World War II veteran a couple weeks ago. Got me last year. I'll be doing a wedding soon, but no, that was very, and I'll tell you, I had an option. Shannon, that's the boss at my house. She gave me that choice. She goes, Mark, you can do one of two things. You can go to law school, or you can go to seminary. Can't do both. What do you want to do? And I took seminary. That was the better choice. And so that made a big difference in my life. And it makes a lot of difference when, you want me to tell one more story?
You've got 2 minutes.
Can we tell one more story?
Yes.
I'll tie this in a little bit. And I think this might bring clarification to a lot of us here that really the left lacks. My last 7 years as a police officer, my last 4 I was the president, but 7 of those I used to teach a class at the police academy to recruits that are going to graduate. It was called Career Survival. 1 hour was a membership sign up, but 2 hours was career survival. In other words, how not to get fired. How not to get fired. Don't have sex with a prostitute on duty. It's happened in the past. Don't do that. Don't smoke crack cocaine from a pipe in your patrol car. It's happened in the past. Don't do that. Don't have sex with 14-year-old boys. It's happened in the past. Don't do that. If you just refrain from these things, you'll probably keep your job. So I'm just don't do that.
So many pictures in my mind that I just don't want put in
all
it.
this stuff, and that's fine. Just remember, we live in a fallen world, and police officers are imperfect people in a fallen world. So
Having said that, you got these young guys, these young men and women, they got guns and badges, they got authority to search and seize and detain. They have helicopters and dogs and shotguns and everything. They're gonna hit the street. And so I would always ask them one question. I said, let me ask you a question. What makes something right and what makes something wrong? What makes something right and what makes something wrong? Doctors, I asked that question for 7 years. These are all college age kids. Yeah, they're stupid, they're smart. What makes them, can you answer the question? Here's one that I'd always get. The law, the courts. The courts determine what makes something right. Well, let's consider that. Because about 120 years ago, a black guy went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled against him. About 7-2, black people are property. So that must be right then, because the judge said black people are just property, you can own them. Do you really feel comfortable? If the courts are deciding what's right and wrong, well, okay, maybe that's not a good decision. Well, what about the culture? The culture determines what's right and what's wrong. I said, you know, that's interesting, because you know what? Back in 1942, my mom used to tell me in Berlin, a good Jew is a dead Jew. And so when I went to Nuremberg, I'm just saying, that's the majority of us here, that's what we believe was our culture, the majority rules. That makes it right, doesn't it? So, okay, you're not going to rely on the courts, you're not going to rely upon the culture. What do you rely upon? And just remember, just so you know, it was maybe just 100 years ago, you and you and you and you and you couldn't vote. That was the law. So it must have been right. Because if it's the law, the judge says it's right, or the culture says it's right, or the law says it's okay, and everybody's going, oh my gosh, now they're a little confused. Here's the question. Let me ask you again. What makes something right? What makes something wrong?
Your conscience.
I have a good conscience.
Judgment.
My mom said, when I went to my first day at Auschwitz as a guard, my mom said, you're just doing your job. You have a duty to this country. My conscience is clean. I was doing what the Fuhrer told me to do.
Yes, even the conscience doesn't really work.
I'm just pushing back.
Basically, as long as what you do doesn't infringe on someone else's rights, do unto others as you want to do unto you, or essentially our Judeo-Christian or Christian value system that our country was established upon, is really what's right and what's wrong and what's been pushed aside, so now everything's gray. And if you look, the courts tend to come to partisan decisions no matter what the law says.
Never got that answer. In 7 years, I never got that answer.
Are you kidding me?
In 7 years.
And
Here's how I would answer that question. You want to know how I answer the question? What makes something right? What makes something wrong? If it's consistent with the character of God, it's right. If it's inconsistent with the character of God, it's wrong. Let's talk about child pornography. Consistent or inconsistent? Wrong. Owning black people, consistent or inconsistent? Wrong. Women voting, consistent or inconsistent? Wrong. The ability to defend oneself, consistent or inconsistent? You see what I'm saying? That's where the left is lurching. You could shut every debate down. All Trump has to do, whenever he's going to debate, he said, well, let me ask you something, Joe, Stumpy Dumpy Joe. What makes something right? What makes something wrong? And he won't be able to answer that question because he doesn't know.
well,
Whatever the polls say.
if you make that statement, though, it's who is God? I mean, the founders wrote it as we're endowed by our Creator, or Thomas Jefferson wrote it that way.
Sure.
Now, granted, at the end of the Constitution, they say, in the year of our Lord, so that is a reference to Jesus Christ. And we have a God we trust, and even in the House, they've got that over there, but you can see Tlaib, Omar, even our own Senator, Sinema, swore on a law book instead of the Bible, right?
But you brought
the baseline standard for this country was Judeo-Christian ethics. That's this country. And so we determine, it's very easy. I not only think it's easy to determine in this country what's right and wrong, but worldwide, but certainly in a country or a culture that's founded on Judeo-Christian principles, which are correct, that's a no-brainer.
That's what the left fights though.
That's right.
They say it's not true. That's why it's
So by
always-
moving away from them, they're moving away from an objective moral standard. Boy, and that is utter chaos. That's Kate Steinle.
Well, this is something that I've wrestled with because the younger generation, I'm in the minority on this opinion. But if you look at the Declaration of Independence, if you read, basically, it's our inalienable rights come from God. Do they or do they not, right? And if that God is Jesus Christ, then Jesus Christ doesn't acknowledge gay marriage. So by having the courts, 5 of 4 people make the decision for 320 million people, saying that gay marriage is now legal, what it has done, and you can't get the genie back in the bottle, it's asserted government over God.
Get ready.
And so now every Christian school, every Christian adoption agency, every church can legitimately be sued to uproot the Christian foundation of this country because the government has now asserted itself over God, and our inalienable rights hence are at risk in my assessment.
Clearly over those Judeo-Christian standards, and you're correct. They open that Pandora's box now.
Yeah.
What keeps me from marrying her, and my sister too? If I can marry this person, you see what I'm saying? You open that box, everything's good to go now.
Well, I've never had an
This is
issue
gonna
with
have to
people.
wait until after, we're running way over, sorry.
You're good, okay.
No, you're fine.
No. There you go, you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah, thank you, Mark. So for the last 5 minutes, we're gonna have Neil DeSanti come up and introduce himself and talk about what he's doing. Just probably, sorry.
It's okay, it's only gonna be maybe 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, that's good.
We'll leave it at that.
What club are you? What club are you?
All right, for those who don't know who I am Neil DeSanti. I'm a candidate running for Corporation Commissioner. I ran last year, 2018, as the only write-in candidate for the general election. I'm running now. I hope I can get all you guys to sign my petition. It's over there by where I was sitting. Everybody knows what the Corporation Commission is responsible for?
Hello.
All right, fantastic.
APS and
we will tell you.
Screwing everybody like.
It's 5 commissioners elected through the Corporation Commission, oversees your executive, legislative, and judicial proceedings on the behalf of Arizona when it comes to water, electricity, telephone, and natural gas resources, as well as regulations of securities, pipelines, and railroad safety. So, the reason why APS goes to the Corporation Commission, because they're publicly traded, SRP is not. Everybody understand that? Any questions for the corporation that I may or may not know? All right. Anybody want to know why I'm running?
Yes.
Let's see. Let me try this on you guys to see how you guys like this. This would be a speech that I put up since I have a couple of minutes. All right. Let me know how you guys like it, or if I should change it. My name is Neil DeSanti for Corporation Commissioner. I'm a Native American, Arizona native, sorry. Lived in Phoenix all my life. The reason I am running, I want to protect Arizona's future by ensuring it's safe, reliable, and affordable utility service. Be a part of Arizona's growth economically, help in modernizing a responsible government agency, and demand the protection of Arizona citizens with an ethical securities marketplace. Hopefully, I can encourage the next generation of young entrepreneurs to achieve the dream of starting their own businesses. I have sought to support President Trump's effective change in Republican Party platforms. I'm hopeful that I can bring some of those common sense ideas straight from you, the people, to the Arizona Corporation Commissioner's office. I have worked with the hope of giving Arizona ratepayers a choice. I can give a fresh outlook